the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary Carson, for being here today, and thank you for your testimony.
Absolutely.
And from a personal note, I'd like to thank you for reaching out to those of us who are involved in baseball shooting.
Yes.
Appreciate that very much. Also, I want to thank you for your leadership. I've been around leaders all my life, and you're a leader. Thank you for that. And also, I want to thank you for what you've done in Texas. I'm from Texas.
Yes.
I want to thank you for what you've done in Texas with Hurricane Harvey, for reaching out quickly. Your response has just demonstrated swift action and resolute, and Texans are grateful for what you've done. And I'm also happy that in such a pivotal time for our country, history of our nation, that your leadership understands the challenges we face. We've talked about them today, and you understand the actions necessary to be the best possible steward of the taxpayer, which is important, while assisting those in need to achieve their God-given potential. So, Mr. Secretary, I want to start by talking about FHA's mortgage insurance program, which so many in my district have addressed with my staff and myself. We're aware of many complaints from mortgage lenders who are being subjected to extended, costly investigations and then lawsuits by the Department of Justice for their participation in the Federal Housing Administration's mortgage insurance program. Well, I efforts to penalize lenders who deliberately submitted false or fraudulent mortgages. Many lenders are being asked to pay penalties for loans that were reviewed and audited by the FHA and HUD. These actions forcing many lenders to avoid or to keep them from participating in the program, making it difficult for many first-time home buyers to purchase homes. So can you explain what circumstances would institute a penalty on a lender after FHA and HUD have approved their mortgage?
It has been a problem because of all of the red tape and all the regulations. And there's so many traps involved. When people do things that are really non-material mistakes, and then they find themselves in the kind of difficulty that would basically drive them away from even wanting to be involved in the first place. I've talked to Attorney General Sessions about that, and my staff and staff from DOJ are working on those regulatory barriers that are precluding people from wanting to get involved.
The HUD workforce, which you supervise, is just short of 8,000 full-time employees. In comparison to some federal agencies, this may appear to be fairly lean. 8,000 is hard to say lean, but given the responsibilities and scope of the department, many could argue that the organization is unnecessarily large. Do you have the flexibility and authority to write and to right the size of the department if needed, and moving resources and employees as needed to meet the goals that you and the President have set?
I think we have close to what we need. We've come down from 15,000 to 8,000 in recent years, and are looking with a very careful look at the actual need to hiring and bringing people on, utilizing them effectively and utilizing people in multiple areas in order to increase the efficiency, recognizing that we do have to be stewards of taxpayers' money.
Well, and then what challenges stand in the way of you organizing your department to achieve the best return on taxpayer investment, which would be cost and return?
Well, what we've done is divided people into work groups with captains who are responsible, who bear some fiscal responsibility, so that we don't simply say to the CFO, which we don't have right now, that it's your responsibility. And I think the more we can distribute that responsibility and make people responsible, the more fiscally responsible they'll be.
Lastly, one of the promises President Trump made to the American people was to direct his administration to decrease regulation or to spur growth. Regulations choke growth. Since you assumed your current position, what steps have you and President Trump taken to roll back harmful regulations in the housing industry?
Well, we have established a regulatory reform committee, and they work through the Office of the General Counsel, looking at major regulations. We have about 10 of them right now, which we're looking to be able to get rid of, on the way to quite a few more than that.
Thank you again for being here. Thank you for your testimony. I yield my